Hi, welcome to a new Desmos tutorial. Today we're gonna take a closer look at lists. Lists are exactly what you will think, a list of variables. Defining lists is actually quite simple. Type the name of your list, equals, and square parentheses. You can add the desired information to the list by typing the values, separated by a comma. That's all there is to it. You can also define a list that contains variables. See? The list contains A and B. But lists are a bit useless if we can't see the things they store. So, if you type the list name L in my case, with square parentheses and the list index behind it, you get the item of the list with a given index. The first item has index 1. Let's get to the interesting stuff, like point lists. If you saw the previous video, you're fine. If you didn't, check out the video. Quick recap, you can plot points with the list as x coordinate or a coordinate. You can show one point of the list by writing the desired index behind it, just like a normal list. There's a chance you found it already, but following this logic, you can define the list in the point itself. It's actually really simple, just skip the list defining and go straight to the points. The second tip is a bit harder to understand. You can plot a whole group of points by defining a point with two variables, x0 and y0, and typing for x0 equals xlist, comma, y0 equals ylist, in between square parentheses. This is a very cool feature, but I honestly have no idea how to use it. Any cool ideas? Post them in the comments. Maybe I can make some videos with cool comment ideas someday. Anyway, back to Desmos. It's time for the next interesting chapter, fancy ways to define lists. Desmos is actually a really smart calculator. If you type in opening parenthesis, the first value, the second value, 3 dots and the last value, it will make a list that starts at the first value and goes up with the interval between the first and the second value until it has reached the last value. If there is only one value before the 3 dots, its standard interval is 0. This is extremely convenient if you have to define lists from 1 to 1000. Part 2 is a bit more challenging to understand. It's basically a function that writes a list. Instead of typing the values, you can write a function with 3 parts: the index value, 4, and the list variable. 4 is the easiest part, just type 4. The list variable is a letter that equals a list, and the index value is the value that the index of the list that's being computed gets. The value often contains the list variable because the function defines a list that exists of every index value of the variable. This is hard to explain. If the variable e is a list 1, 2, 3, it makes a list with 3 values. The first value is the index for e equals 1, the second for e equals 2, and the third one for e equals 3. Let's combine these together. If e equals the list 100 and the index value is 2y, it will create a list with 100 items, 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. If you still don't understand, restart this chapter and take a closer look at the things I write on screen. Back to medium stuff. You can make functions where one of the parameters is a list. This will create a list of graphs, one graph for every list item. Lists also have cool features. A full description of all the things that are possible with lists is available at the Desmos website. I'll put a link in the description of the video. I'll explain a few. You can multiply a list with a number. This will multiply every item of the list by that number. You can also use plus, minus, and a lot of standard operations like this. Total with parentheses returns the sum of all the values in the list in between the parentheses. Min returns the minimum value, and surprise, max returns the maximum value. Length will return the amount of items the list contains, and mean returns the average. That are the most important ones. Be sure to check the link below to learn more about the supported operations. We're already done. If you want to know something extra, just ask it in the comment section, and bye bye.